Welcome to installing and setting up PostgreSQL database. Now there are like a bazillion different ways of setting up and installing Postgres, and I'll show you the one that I find like the easiest one. So I'm on the PostgreSQL website, which is postgresql.org, and go to the download link, and you'll see that there are different options that if you want to download for Linux, if you want to download for Mac or Windows. So let's go ahead and click and download for Mac OS. And even for Mac OS, there are different options. You can use Enterprise DB, you can use Big SQL, or you can use PostgreSQL app. And I find that this is one of the easiest way that you can install it. Now there are options using Fink and Mac ports and even Homebrew. So if you want to install using Homebrew, you're going to, use that particular approach. So I find that using the app, PostgreSQL app, is very, very simple to install. So simply download the app. Once you have downloaded the app, move it into application folder, actually, just like you install any other thing, any other software. So let me go to my application folder because I've already downloaded it. And here it is, the PostgreSQL app. So I'm going to just run the app. And there we go. That's what it looks like. It's going to create three databases for you. One for your name, one is Postgres, and one is kind of like a template. All right. Now I can double click and I can jump into the command line and start creating my databases. So let's go and double click on the PostgreSQL. And now you can see that I'm in the command line or the terminal phase. Now this is where I can write my PostgreSQL commands. So the first thing I need to do is I need to list all the databases that I currently have. So list. And you're going to see that it has databases like for Muhammad Azam, this is Postgres, and then template 0, and then template 1. So these are the databases that currently, by default, Postgres app installs. But I want to create a new one. I don't care about these databases. So let's go ahead and create a new one. Create database. And what do you want to call your database? So let's call it testdb. That's the name of my database. And this is a command, create a database called testdb. And there we go. So it's going to say that the database has been created. Well, if the database has been created, then I should see my database over here in all the running databases. And you can see that I can actually look at the database, testdb. From the terminal, I can also run the command list, which is going to list all the databases, and right over here at the bottom you can see testdb. So that's good. But the problem is that I want to connect to testdb, and right now I'm in the Postgres database name. So how can I do that? Well, / connect, and the name of the database that you want to connect in this case is testdb. And there we go. You are now connected to database testdb as user Muhammad Azam. If I want to list all the tables, keeping in mind that we just created testdb, so it might not have any tables, but if I want to create all the tables, I can simply say /dt. And it's going to tell me that, what are you talking about? Well, there are no tables. You just created the database. It's completely empty. If I want to drop the database, like if I'm like, okay, I don't want to use testdb, I accidentally created it, I don't want to use it, I can run the command called drop database testdb. And it's going to tell me, well, you cannot really drop the database that you are currently connected to. So you need to connect to some other database. It's kind of like in GitHub. If you want to delete the particular branch and you're on that branch, you need to switch to a different branch and then delete it. The same concept applies over here. You need to connect to some other database, and then you can drop this database. So let's go ahead and connect. We know how to connect to some other database, so let's go ahead and do that. Connect to maybe Postgres database. All right, so now you are connected to database Postgres. I can run /dt, and I can see that there are no table, no relations over here also. But let's continue with our work of dropping the database that we initially created, which is testdb. And you can see that it says the database has been dropped, and you can see it's gone from over here also. And if I run the command /list to list all the databases, you're going to see that our test database is no longer found over here. So once again, there are like a million ways that you can use PostgreSQL. I just found that this is using the app, which is PostgreSQL app, is like very, very easy to get started. Of course, it doesn't really give you any graphical user interface or anything like that. For that, you'll have to download Postico or some other paid apps, but it at least gives you an opportunity to quickly run the Postgres server, and you can create your tables right here. Like you can start typing commands right here, and you can create your tables and relations and everything, which we're going to do later in the lecture. All right, thank you very much.